Welcome to the Rich Report, a podcast with news and information on the world of cloud computing. Today, my guest is from Bocada. We have the CEO of the company, Nancy Hurley. So Nancy, welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate the invite.
Well, thanks for coming on. You know, I brought your slides up, so why don't we start with that, and we'll follow it with the Q&A.
Sure, that sounds great. Really do appreciate the opportunity to get the word out about Bocada and the product that we will be announcing later this month. Actually, we'll be announcing it on April 24th, and that's a product called VPconnect. And what it is a solution that enables people to, or organizations to do data protection management for both their physical and virtual environments. So we'll talk all about that. What I'd like to do is do a little introduction about the company itself and talk about what we're announcing, give a bit of a background on the components of the product that we're announcing, and then go into some details. And with that, I'll go to our first slide about Bocada, so slide number 2. A little background. We are a private venture-funded company, been around for about 12 years now. Bocada was the pioneer in centralized backup reporting way back when, where essentially the concept being, hey, organizations tend to have multiple different backup solutions within their environment, and they need a way to centrally manage those to understand if their backups are truly working the way that they expect to get a lot of more in-depth information about the amount of capacity that you use and the performance that you have in your environment. And so we have been building solutions that address that market for the past 12 years. We are the market leader in this space. We have the biggest footprint out there with over 600,000 servers and clients under management with our product, and just have done very well in this space. But over time, over the years, and talking with our customers, we realized that they certainly wanted more than reporting. The folks that we found that got the most value out of our solution really saw data protection as an IT service that they were delivering to their customers, either internally or externally. We have a lot of service providers that use our product. And with that, they had that kind of service delivery mentality, and we worked together with them to put together a next-generation product called Bocada Prism that is truly a data protection service management solution. So it goes beyond reporting, has some intelligent analytics in it to help you understand what is the impact of the problem on your environment. So it really helps people manage the service level agreements, interfaces with trouble ticketing systems, and it's truly about helping people deliver data protection as a service. That's what we do as a company. If we move to the next slide, I'm going to talk about the latest product that we're introducing. As you can imagine, seeing we've been around for as long as we have, our primary focus was always data protection in a physical environment, physical servers, physical environment, and that has been our expertise. Last November, we introduced a product that is data protection service management for virtual environments. There's significant differences between backing up your physical environment and backing up your virtual environment. I'll talk about that in a bit. And therefore, there's also very specific applications that are used for backing up virtual environments. And there was a gap in the market of those solutions having the centralized reporting. There was certainly mature solutions out there, including ours, for the physical environment, but nothing for the virtual environment. So we introduced a product for that back in November, and now what we're introducing is the combination of those two products together. So VPconnect stands for either virtual and physical connected, or in our case, our own product names, Vision and Prism connected. And it's truly integrated for being able to manage the virtual and physical environments under a single pane of glass. So let's move to the next slide, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about those individual products that make up VPconnect. So one thing that we've had a premise from day one is that we have an agentless architecture. That's very important in a backup environment because backup environments are extremely dynamic, and we have always been really focused, or at least in the past, on the enterprise. And in order to really effectively distribute tens of thousands or cover tens of thousands of clients, an agentless architecture really helps reduce the administrative costs and makes it very flexible. If you were to change up your backup environment or add new ones in, the plugins, as we call them, are interchangeable. So that's one thing that we've always had a premise, and we've continued when we built the next generation product, Bocada Prism. We kept the same scalable agentless backend that we had with our previous solution, Bocada Enterprise. That makes it very simple for our installed base to upgrade to Bocada Prism. But again, it was something that had been built over the course of 10 years, tried and true, no reason to change that. But what we did change was the front end of the solution. So our previous product had been console-based. Now what we have is a completely web-based solution that is modular. So the modules follow what we call a data protection service management model, in which you start with a health check, and where you're able to see what's going on in your whole environment, see if there's things that need to be fixed, but then move to problem management, policy management, and then SLA management. And the idea being that you really do want to manage your environment according to service level agreements, not according to, oh, I have an error, I better go see what that error is. What you need to know is there's an error in my environment. I need to understand what the impact is to the service level agreement I have with my customer, and then I need to manage to that. So if you see on this diagram, what we have is that there are modules. There's both Vision and Prism, so our virtual and physical have these health check modules, problem management modules. The policy management is a separate module in Prism only because all the policy stuff is built into the health check and problem management for Vision. There's Vision inventory management, in which we're integrated in with vCenter. All of these different modules come together in VPconnect. And so let me talk a little bit more about that and show you the real thing. So first, let's talk about why we built this. I think it's just somewhat obvious that people would need to manage their virtual and physical data protection environments under a single pane of glass. However, what we find is interesting is within a number of organizations, when you start getting to a mid-level enterprise organization or a large enterprise organization, is it's separate groups that actually do manage the virtual environment and manage the physical environment. And so what you might find is that one group's off using one management solution, another group's off using another management solution, and they can't really correlate the information. And there are initiatives within these organizations to pull the data protection activity and operations for both the physical and virtual together. So what we're doing is saying, look, this is the same code base, it's the same product. Your virtual folks can use the Vision solution, your physical folks can use the Prism solution, but we'll correlate the information for you as well on an as-needed basis. So whether it's separate groups or a single group doing it, they can use the same application, certainly lowers administrative costs and makes it much more easier to consolidate the information in the environment. If we talk about the whys of even having a solution like this, so why do I need it? First, we did a survey out in the market. As virtualization is becoming more and more and more popular, which we all know it is, and it's getting very, very significant virtualization implementations across all organizations, SMBs as well as mid and large-scale enterprises, the reality is that it is different as far as the backup, just because of the dynamic nature of a virtual environment. And so we went out and had a study done, and if you look at it, 87% of respondents consider virtual backup and recovery a significant challenge, and 60% of them it's one of their top 5 challenges. And so in order to address the challenges, we, of course, wanted to find out exactly what those were. So if you go to slide 7, the backup challenges that people see some of them are the traditional ones, that they have to validate backup success. They have to know if their data is recoverable. Those are true across physical and virtual. But some of the real interesting things that come up in a virtual environment is understanding the impact of backup operations on the performance of other applications and workloads that are sharing the same physical resources. You don't have to think about that in a physical environment. You really do have to think about it in a virtual environment. You don't really have to think about how much capacity your snapshots are using in a physical environment. I mean, you want to, because you want to manage capacity, but in a virtual environment, if you don't have visibility into your snapshots and you're consuming a lot of capacity in your data store, it is quite possible that your VMs won't work anymore if you don't know how to reclaim that capacity from old snapshots and the like. So there's a lot of different nuances that come up in a virtual environment that you don't see in a physical environment, and that's what we address with Vision. So if you go to slide 8, we just talk about what the Vision product addresses, and what we do with this solution is we integrate in with vCenter and gather all of the information about the configuration of the VM environment itself. So we will automatically see how you got your data stores configured, what resources you have with your individual VMs, and we can tell you, first and foremost, are those VMs recoverable? The first thing is, are they protected at all? One of the things that happens in a virtual environment that doesn't happen in a physical environment is a user can just spin up a VM, and if they don't tell the person that's responsible for backing it up, you might have an orphaned resource out there, and something happens and they want you to go back and get the information, and you never even knew that the VM existed. What we'll do is show you, hey, there's a new VM in the environment. By the way, you don't have backups against it, or you just have snapshots. Conversely, we can tell you if you're overprotected, because sometimes one person will set up snapshots on it, somebody else will set up the backup. You don't really need to be doing all of that. So we can actually see if they're protected, if your backups are recoverable, where your best recovery points are. We can also see how your resources are being used and optimized. I mentioned before that if you do a number of snapshots and you don't delete those snapshots, you can use up a great deal of capacity in your data store. The way the virtual servers work, that if they run out of capacity on the data store, they actually could stop working. And so you really, really have to have that visibility. The more VMs that you have on a physical server, the more and more backups you have. So while it saves a lot of resources as far as power and CPU capacity and all of that type of thing to do virtualization, you actually do end up really increasing the amount of capacity you use for backups. And as is, about a third of all capacity used in an environment is used for data protection activity. That's going to increase in a virtual environment, so you really want to make sure you can see, what do I need to save and what do I not need to save? What can I reclaim for my capacity and how much am I using? And then I also talked about the performance impact of protecting VMs. You want to make sure that you're not impacting another application workload by backing up multiple VMs on a single physical resource at the same time. So that's what we do with Vision. Very popular product. People see a couple of the reports and they're just like, okay, I need this. I don't have this anywhere else. And particularly the correlation of the vCenter information with the backup activity. So we currently support VMware, obviously integration with vCenter, and their Data Recovery appliance. We're actually supporting those products. We will support Hyper-V in the future. It is on our roadmap, but we went with VMware as the market leader to start. We also support the Quest vRanger products, Veeam backup and replication, And Symantec Net Backup 7.1, that was the first version in which they really put a lot of feature functionality in to integrate in with the VM APIs. So those are the ones that we support today with Vision, as well as we're in beta with HP Data Protector. And we will shortly be supporting Symantec Backup Exec 2012. They have built a great product for virtual environments, and we're working together with them to get that supported in our product. Quest NetVault, we're very heavily partnered with Quest, and they want us to support their enterprise product. So vRanger, it tends to be aimed at the SMB, and NetVault at the enterprise. And we are adding additional functionality into our NetApp solution in order to support that with Vision. So that's what we're doing there. The core Prism product is really doing similar type things in your physical environment. So being able to see, do I have my backups? Are they successful? Are they not? What are my trends in my backups? What's my capacity use? It's really a very comprehensive product for in-depth problem management, error analysis. I talked before about the SLA management. That's something that we really focus on. Lifecycle policy reporting, that's really for our net backup customers. Anybody that's using vaulting or any copying and the like, and they want to follow the multiple copies throughout their entire life cycle, we can do that with our product. And it's just a really intelligent workflow that really helps drive that DPSM process that I talked about. The Prism product, we have a number of applications supported. Certainly we've been around for a long time, and as have these solutions. So your EMC, Networker, IBM Tivoli, all the Symantec products, Microsoft Data Protection Manager, we're the only vendor actually that supports that, ArcServe, Data Protector, and again, we'll be building on additional solutions from now on, whenever we do a new plugin, as we call it. It's not an agent, but it's a way to collect data from these applications. We will do it for both Prism and Vision because that's, the VPconnect. We also have reporting for a number of other applications that are out there, and even have something called a gap plugin that if any backup application, if we don't support it, if it can dump a CSV file, we can pull that into our database and do centralized reporting. So it's a very, very comprehensive solution. So getting to what have we done now is what we've done is pulled together the Prism and Vision product. They're the complete same code base, complete same back end, front end, but they can be run as standalone modules. However, when you do actually pull them together, you get a lot of benefits. One of them, certainly the unified navigation. What you can see is that in the diagram here, you can see that you have the health check and the problem management and the policy modules that it breaks out. There are some that if they are specific to just a physical environment, they'll pop up. If they're specific, they'll be under the Prism. If they're specific to a virtual environment, they'll be under Vision. But if they share reports, then that'll be up at the higher level. And it's, again, about following that DPSM model and getting all of the information. Now, I don't have a full demonstration or anything of each product, but if you can see the list of reports here on this slide, you can see it's very, very comprehensive as to how many different reports you can actually get in the information that we'll provide to you. If we go to the next slide, you'll see a dashboard. What we're doing is combining the information across the physical and virtual environment so you can see your entire backup environment in one pane of glass. So there's the overall backup health, but then if you just want to look at from a virtual perspective, you can see that as well. So you can actually customize this dashboard to be looking at whatever you like. Any of the reports come up, and so you can have a couple virtual reports, you can have physical reports, you can have the combo reports, whatever makes sense for the way you want to view it. For example, we have a number of MSPs that use our product, the managed service providers, and what they might have is customer A, customer B, customer C, whatever, up at any given time so they can manage accordingly. It's fully customizable. You can make it into zones, like I want to see this department, that department, or this geography or that geography. So very, very flexible dashboard to see both physical and virtual at one time. a lot of the combined reports. So, for instance, in our problem management on the next slide, you see combined error reporting. Here's the overall backup trends that you can see across my physical environment and my virtual environment. So it might be not too obvious, but you can see that there's one of the servers we're looking at here is a Veeam backup server, and then the others are some net backup servers. The net backup servers might be watching both, managing both physical and virtual, and you get to see all of the information over time. All of this is drill down, so anytime you see a chart and you want to go explore it a little bit more, it gets more in-depth information about what exactly is happening, what exactly the error is, all of that type of information. You'll note over in the side as well of this screen that there's annotations, alert activity. These are the kinds of things that are very service management-oriented functionality. For instance, you can set a alarm if you want to say, if my errors go over this level, or if this particular critical server has these errors on it, send me an alert. That alert can be an email, however you want to get that. We can also have those alerts be sent automatically into trouble ticketing systems, so it could open up a trouble ticket based on that need. So again, very service management oriented. The annotations is if you have solved a problem and you want to make a note, hey, this is what we did, this is what happened, you can write that down. You actually put an annotation against each individual client, and those will stay with it for ever and ever. So if somebody else wants to see, hey, what happened? How did we resolve this problem? Instead of having to go find somebody, you can just click on the little annotation and it'll give you all the information about what happened. So again, these are things that you'll see if you look at other ITSM solutions that are out there. Those are very similar kind of features for delivery of data protection as a service. Another thing that we've announced in this particular product is some executive summary reporting. So while we have the dashboards and we have all the rest of it, our managed service provider customers in particular wants to be able to just give an overall summary to their customers of, hey, this is what happened over the course of the past week. And we allow them, again, to customize this, but it'll tell you, here's your overall success. You can do it daily, you can do it monthly, however you want that, the number of jobs that failed, and so on. So just really good for communication with the customer. And that could be internal customers or external customers. There might be somebody at a CIO level or whatever that just wants an overall summary report emailed to them on a daily or a weekly basis, and you can set all that up in here. So this particular announcement, as I said, is really just about the integration. So if we go to the next slide, what we also are pretty excited about is, okay, how do you get to this integrated product? What happens if you have vision in place and you say, I really like what this is all about and I want to do it for my physical environment. How do you get there? Well, it's the same code base as you mentioned. It's all there. So all you need is a different license key to turn on that functionality. So that's it. If you have vision for Veeam, you want to add Prism to do your physical environment, new license key. You have Prism for net backup, which we have plenty of customers that have that, and then they decide to start using the features in 7.1, net backup 7.1, to manage their virtual environment or to back up their virtual environment. They just need another key and turns on the vision stuff. So very, very flexible. What's interesting is we are really finding, and we thought that there'd be a lot of excitement about the virtual product, and people were like, hey, there's nothing else like this, we need it. We get that in there, and the next question just comes, hey, can you do this for my physical environment? So it's great to just have that license key. Makes it really easy for people to do a quick evaluation or just get up and running, and it's all the same database. So for folks out there that want to know, hey, where do we get this product or who do we work with, we do work very closely with Quest. Again, we are supporting vRanger, but we also are adding NetVault support, and we're doing a number of joint marketing and sales promotions. So if your Quest channel might not know about it today, but if they called their channel manager or their inside sales folks, they would be able to help you out and get all the information you need. Veeam, we're working very closely with them. We're actually doing a lot of joint marketing, and we will be doing some sales promotions with them as well. So anybody that might have those products right now, we are making it really easy for them to get the product. As a matter of fact, we will be introducing in the beginning of May the ability to just buy over the web. So that's new to us, as we were traditionally more direct and channel-based because we went after the larger enterprise market. The Vision product is very, very good for the SMB. It's simple. It's priced accordingly for the SMB market, and you'll be able to just go say, hey, I want 100 licenses for Veeam. Click on this, automatically downloads the product, gets you a license key, and you're on your way. So very, very excited to be working with them. And we're also going to be doing some joint promotions into the channel with Symantec as well. So anybody that has NetBackup today can use the VPconnect product, and Backup Exec in the very near future. We expect to have that out, and we'll be showing it at Symantec Vision in the beginning of May. So that's really close to have that. And so I think at this point, I'm on to the next slide of just a summary of the benefits of using the VPconnect product. Great cost savings. Obviously, no need for multiple solutions to manage the different backup environments. Certainly cost savings as it relates to administrative costs, because some of the things, particularly in Vision, you might have to go to 3 or 4 different places to get that correlated information. We do it in one place. Certainly also for being able to reclaim capacity. You can have a lot of visibility to know what can I reclaim, what snaps can I get rid of, what backups do I no longer need, and then be able to save on capacity and hopefully capital resources. So that's one key benefit in certainly in both the virtual and physical environment. Planning, moving from physical servers to virtualization, we can watch the whole thing from yes, here's how it was when you were in a physical environment, and this is where your backups are. Here's now you've moved to a virtual environment. Here's where your backups are, and you can make sure you're compliant and face audits and everything with our product. And certainly it's all about recoverability, right? That's the reason that you do backups, is to be able to recover it, and we will make sure that you know where the best recovery points are, as well as just know if, in fact, the data is effectively being backed up. So those are the benefits of that across that's the value prop we bring no matter what, but this, when you combine the two products, that's the value prop across both the virtual and physical environment. So that was a lot of talking on my part, and I am done talking with my slides. So, Rich, did you have any questions? Or?
I sure do, Nancy. Thanks for that. I'm curious about the size of the market. Have you sized the virtualization market? I mean, how big is it, and how big is it going to get?
Well, yes, obviously we did. We've been certainly paying a great deal of attention to what is happening in that space. And we were watching surveys just showing that the growth is phenomenal. And so we actually had commissioned Enterprise Strategy Group to then go and do a very specific study just as it related to data protection in the virtual environment. In all those surveys, it was confirmed that it's really significant growth. And if I could pull up a slide that shows that right now, if you look at the growth, it might be 10 to 20% of an organization's environment is virtualized today. But you're looking at incredible, folks looking to go to 50% of their environment being virtualized in the near future. The way it shows up even more is on average right now, people have between 5 and 10 VMs per server. What you're looking at in the next 12 to 18 months is folks want to get to between 15 and 20, and some 20 and above of VMs per physical server out there. So that growth in of itself, it just is, it's so significant. And yeah, we obviously want to take advantage of that space. So this was a big investment for us to go after that, and there's no sign of the virtualization market slowing at all. It's just going to keep going.
Terrific. And I was going to ask you, you mentioned how they can reclaim that storage by, getting rid of those snapshots they don't need. Do you give them insight into, replicated files as well? Like, maybe they have, with all these virtual machines, they might have, 500 copies of the same application, right, or something. Is that how it would work? Is that how they can, reclaim that storage space and reuse it?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, with the snapshots themselves, again, when you just do snapshots on a VM, the snapshots go to in the data store, which is really the storage that the VMs are all working off of. Now, a VM-specific backup application, if you've got a VM-specific backup application going, what happens is that snapshot happens, and then the backup goes and actually backs up off of that snap, but then it deletes that snapshot, right? So that's what your Veeams, your vRangers, everybody will do. So there's the snapshot, there's the backup of the snapshot, and then delete the snapshot. And in that case, you're not taking up the space on the data store. However, if all you're doing is snapshots, and a lot of people, when they spin up VMs, that's all they're doing, that snapshot will not go away unless you manually go in and delete it. And if you don't have visibility into those snaps, which it's very difficult to have without a solution like ours, you don't know, A, how much capacity the snapshots are taking up as a whole, but also what's in those snapshots or how old they are. So we'll give you that information. Now, your question is, would we also be able to see replicas? Would we be able to see everything everywhere else? Yes. We'll show you any data protection that you're doing against these VMs. We'll show you that. And one of the things is we have a recovery report that basically, if you go in and you say, I need to recover this VM, we'll show you all the locations of where there's potential recovery points for you. So it's like, okay, if you have this here, you have this snapshot, and this is when it was taken. You have this backup over here. This is when it was taken. You have this copy of that backup that's over here on tape, and this is when it was taken. We'll give you all those recovery points and just tell you, you can choose which one. But of course, if one of the activities wasn't good, like say the backup really didn't happen, we'll let you know that's not a good recovery point. You need this one over here. That's a real big value of our product. The other thing that's really cool is when we do that, we'll tell you how the VM was configured at the time you took that backup or that snapshot or whatever, because we correlate that information with vCenter. So it's like, okay, here's this backup, and at the time your VM had one CPU and X amount of memory and blah, blah, blah. So if you need to recover to another VM, you can just pull it up exactly the way that it was configured in the first place. So that's one of the reports people look at and they're like, oh, that's cool.
Cool. Well, kind of a wrap-up question here, Nancy. With this data protection scheme that you guys have put out there, where do you see the technology going? Is it just we're going to support more and different kinds of hypervisors, or are you just going to go deeper with functionality with more features on where you are today? What do you think?
We actually do both. So one of the things that, again, strategically, we have data protection. So while there's a number of other vendors out there that were like us in the past doing backup reporting, some of them moved on to also do SRM and all the like. And we chose very specifically to not do that because first off, to really, really get the data protection space right, you've got to go deep. Yeah, it's people will say, hey, you can see this, you can see this, but can you see this? But can you do this? Can you do that? To really effectively do this and to truly be a DPSM solution, you have to do deep. So by all means, we focus just on that, and we'll be adding more and more features more around media analysis. There's some really cool features that we're looking to take advantage that are in the virtualization backup products themselves, where if you took a backup from a physical machine and then you wanted to recover to a virtual machine, those backup applications can do that. We want to be able to watch that whole life cycle and report on that as well. So those are the kind of features you want to see coming soon. But with that said, there's a broad range of applications in the data protection space, and in order to cover all of those, we'll continue to add new plugins, right? So, and also support for other solutions, such as we will be integrating with Hyper-V, with System Center and supporting Hyper-V, and actually integration with System Center also gets you support for Citrix and a number of other solutions as well. So it's deep and wide as it relates to data protection. We're not trying to go out into the storage resource management space or anything like that, because I don't believe in the jack of all trades, master of none. We're a master at the data protection management, and that's where we're going to stay.
Well, terrific. Well, Nancy Hurley, I want to thank you once again for coming on the show today.
And again, thank you so much. Really appreciate your help in getting the word out on Bocada and our products.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your launch. All right, folks. Well, that's it for the Rich Report. Stay tuned for more news and information on the world of cloud computing.